welcome to a brand new episode of Gadget Nation with me, Adam Carruthers. We are in Solaris at Eat with Mooney. I'm really excited because we've got a lot to get through, including what's here in my hands. I prepared this and a whole lot more, of course, here on Gadget Nation. I'm extremely excited, so let me pop on inside, get a seat, and we can start.
The Samsung Galaxy S6 and Galaxy S6 Edge has recently been launched in Malaysia. Featuring a matte aluminium alloy frame and Gorilla Glass 4 on the front and back, the S6 lives worlds apart from the plastic construction of 5 generations of Galaxy flagships. The smartphone features a 5.1-inch Super AMOLED display with 3 GB of RAM and 16 megapixel plus 5 megapixel cameras. Created specifically with the next-generation gamer in mind, Drive Club leverages the networking power and social capabilities of the PS4 to seamlessly. Drive Club allowed players to share their experiences, send and to receive challenges, and keep up to speed with their own team's performance. Drive Club brings to life the heart and soul of car culture. Asus has announced the impeccably slim and light Transformer Book T300 Qi, a beautifully engineered, razor-thin 2-in-1 Windows detachable intended to provide flexibility for work and play. Apart from that, Asus also revealed the new ZenBook UX305, which is the world's slimmest 13.3-inch Full HD ultra-portable laptop, features a vibrant in-plane switching anti-glare display.
Ooh, okay, here's an interesting question. If I could say to you, you have one gadget that you could carry around with you at all times, but only one, which one would it be? Would you choose, say, a tablet? Would you choose, say, a desktop, PlayStation 4? Maybe one of those portable gaming devices like a PS Vita? What would it be for you? A television? How about this? Mobile phone, so crucial because effectively, all those things I've mentioned, you can do all of it in your pocket. It's camera as well, don't forget about that. So, 2 devices, 2 different brands, trying to reinvent what we've already seen in very, very different ways. Let's find out a little bit more. What we have here, 2 mobile devices, both of them very interesting, both of them kind of like bringing something old but with a new twist to it, but in very different ways. Also, very differently priced. On one hand, we got BlackBerry with a new device, that's to my left, and to my right, the bigger device is from Samsung. Now, I should add that these 2 devices come at very different price points. I mean, the BlackBerry device there, it's about just over 1,500, just slightly less than 1,006, whereas the device here from Samsung is slightly under 3,000 ringgit. So, not quite, but almost double the price of the BlackBerry. So you get the picture there. I mean, when you pay for something as much as that, 3 grand, you better hope that you have a lot of high-end specs and it packs a big punch and effectively becomes a flagship device for whatever brand you're talking about. Let's focus on what we have here, which is the BlackBerry Classic. Now, this feels like I've gone back a few years. So BlackBerry, though, still feel that there's space in individuals' lives for what we have here is the Qwerty keyboard. And for some, it will work, for some, it won't. Now, this is the BlackBerry Classic. You can see there it's badged on the back. And it's pretty nifty. It's actually very nice to hold in your hands. It has this rubberized, matty feel to the back, and it feels classy in your hands. That combined with this metal outer area here encompassing the entire phone also adds to it, and it just brings back memories having everything here. This is also touchscreen as well, but it just feels like it's lacking something. I mean, okay, if you bear in mind the price, this is pretty much a mid-range phone, talking a battery life of around 2,500 mAh, slightly less than that, which will get you through the day, should be fine. In terms of specs, 2 GB of RAM, 1.5 GHz dual-core processor inside. It's all right. It's not too bad. It's nothing outstanding. But in terms of what you would expect to do on a BlackBerry device, i.e. messaging and browsing through this and that, it will do the job absolutely fine. Now, BlackBerry have learned that perhaps you need some apps to really expand on your phone, something which they've discovered, I think, a long time ago, so you can have access to some Android apps. As for the big selling point, something which you don't usually see, this QWERTY keyboard here, well, it brings back memories, yes, but now it just feels kind of cramped. The real estate for the screen, even though it's touchscreen, like as you can see right here, it just feels so much smaller. I'm just not used to it. Maybe I will get used to it in time, but when you also put in the QWERTY keyboard, this feels kind of cramped now. It just doesn't feel quite as good as it did before. Perhaps it was just a little bit bigger, it might be okay, but honestly, it's a bit hard to say. So that's the Classic for you. This is the cheaper phone that we have on our table right now. What about this, the very expensive one from Samsung? So we have here the Samsung Galaxy Edge. You may have heard about it, you may have read about it, and it certainly is a very, very nice device. I've been subtly impressed by it. Firstly, it feels very nice in your hands. It feels very classy. Just going to lock the screen for a second. And I mean, both devices do feel classy, but for the BlackBerry Classic, it's more about keeping everything into one nice, neat package. I mean, you can't even pop open the back, unlike previous BlackBerries, whereas this one, as we've seen with Samsung, you can pop it open, stick whatever you want inside there. Now, effectively, what you have here is a Note 4, but with a slight twist, which is the edge, which is ironic, because this is not really a straight edge. No, this is a curve, isn't it? And it certainly is something very, very different. Now, firstly, what are the differences between this and, say, the Note 4? Really not much. I mean, you're getting a slightly bigger screen. It's 5.6 in the Note 4, it's 5.7 on this. The battery, slightly more. It was 3000 mAh on the Note 4, it's 3220 on the Edge. So again, everything is so minuscule. Even the weight difference is about 2 grams, 174 to 176, heavier in favor of the Edge, but at 2 grams, you're not really going to notice much. So, or if you want ounces, 6.1 and 6.2. That's how negligible the difference between the two devices are. So I could just go on, the camera, the interface, the apps, everything about this. If you use the Note 4, which we've of course used on the show before as well, there's not going to be much difference. So I want to talk more about what you can expect more from this curve that we can see right here so dominantly. Now, this is how it looks like. As you can see, it has a very nice feel. Now, you may be thinking, oh, you know, how am I going to get used to it? And you're right. You're probably thinking that. But the moment you hold it, it doesn't feel too bad in your hands. Maybe it's because it's so large. It feels very, very nice. And nicely underneath it would have your stylus as well. So, it's a very integral part. I feel it's a little bit handis, I guess is a word I've just made up, because this is really, feels for me anyway, catered for people with right hands. So you can see everything kind of suits a right-handed person as opposed to a left-handed person, but there are things that you can tweak internally. Now, why do I like the curve? Well, for one thing, you can slide vertically across it, and you can bring up little things like the time, etc. And if you're in a meeting, no one else will see it. You just slide, and then that's the best part. Sometimes it's just visible to you. So that in itself is pretty cool, and up and down like such. And also what's really cool, I haven't activated the mode, but when you're in your bed, you can put it into like a night mode, say from 11 to 6 in the morning. Then you can have a clock here. It's kind of like an alarm clock, but not quite as bright, not quite as obtrusive. And it certainly will probably, well, hopefully help you sleep a little bit better. So those are all massive plus points in my opinion. But overall, you're effectively just looking at a Note 4 right here. That's what it is, with a curve or an edge right there. So you effectively got two screens. That's the tricky part that will take a little bit of getting used to. Having all these options here, you can toggle your way through, as you can see right there, notifications, the apps when you're doing your locked screen. But when the moment I select, say message, I still have to use the main screen to unlock it. You know what I mean? You're really using two screens. So that's something that takes a little bit of getting used to. And your notifications, whatever comes up here. Don't worry, you can still bring it up the traditional sense like such as well. So what do I think about these two devices in closing? Well, is there enough about it for you to want to get the device? Firstly, if you are really heavy into emails, etc., this will probably suit you better because of having a physical keyboard does go a long way. Particularly if you don't have digits which are too large, so you can type a little bit easier. But There's nothing extra that compels me to want to buy the BlackBerry Classic. In fact, I would say the specs are a little bit less than the Passport itself. Something else to think about. Another option from BlackBerry as well. I mean, even the camera, 8 megapixels, there's better cameras out there, there's better hardware out there, there's much better touchscreens out there. It's just a QWERTY keyboard which might draw you back to it, or affinity, effectively, for using BlackBerry in the past. Or if you really are a hardcore emailer, this one's for you. Apart from that, not much of a pull. Even though it is cheaper, much cheaper, than the Samsung Galaxy Edge. Now, do I think this is necessary, the curve, the edge? No, not really, but is it fun? It most certainly is. The question is, how compelling is it enough for you to want to go out and buy one? And bearing in mind, the likes of LG have come out with a phone with 2 curves, 2 edges. Suddenly makes this one seem just a little bit passé all of a sudden, so another key issue to think about. I really don't think it's necessary. In fact, I think for most mainstream consumers, a traditional Note 4, for example, will probably suffice, considering this is, for all results and purposes, is a Note 4 with this curve element right here. Something else that you can definitely have to think about. I'm a big fan, though, of ingenuity, and I think it really is an engineering masterpiece, that it's something different. But the competitors have come out with something different as well, with 2 curves. And I just don't find a reason to really think I have to have a curved phone, apart from the fact that, yeah, it's kind of fun to have, that's it. But lots for you to think about, so I'm here.